watching over his family as best he can. Akram Shamali lives in a tent on a beach. Keeping the water out and his loved ones dry is a relentless task.
I can show you how things go wrong when it rains and what we do when there's rainfall at night. I place a container or bucket to protect us from the water so that it doesn't get inside. I spent the entire night standing, trying to clear the water from every corner of the tent. I even filled a sandbag and placed it outside to block the water from entering.
11 members of the same family are crammed in this one-room tent. They've been displaced 10 times since the start of Israel's war on Gaza. The tent offers little protection from the wind and the rain. The walls and roof are just a sheet of plastic. The family cooks their food on a fire outside, but when the wind is too strong, the flames grow too weak to be of any real use.
If you want to prepare tea or make something warm to drink, you lose the will. You'd have to wait for the water to boil for about 2 hours just to make the drink. So you feel like your mouth is parched, your face is charred, and the fire is being blown by the wind.
They're too afraid to light the fire at night, fearing that they could come under fire from Israeli warships nearby. Last month, they had to leave when their tent was flooded with seawater, but they had no choice but to go back. While conditions on Gaza's beaches are brutal, there's often nowhere else to go. Israeli forces continue to bomb areas across the Gaza Strip, including so-called safe areas it has forced Palestinians to flee to. And the UN says almost all residential buildings in Gaza have either been destroyed or damaged by Israeli forces. Hind, Khoudary, Jazeera, Deir, el-Balah, Gaza, Palestine.
Amjad Shawa is the director of the Palestinian Non-Governmental Organizations Network. He joins us from Deir el-Balah in Gaza. Good to have you with us. So, do Palestinians feel like 2025 has literally left them out in the cold, in the rain?
Yes. While the world was celebrating last night, 2025, the coming new year, our people, our families who are staying in tents on such freezing, rainful winter, they spent all the night in order to save their children and to collect rest of their belongings, which are under the tents. It was very tough night, very difficult one for the families. 110,000 tents all over Gaza Strip, mainly in the coastal area, which is space where people stayed in for 1 year and 2 months with such suffering. And when you ask about these families, consist of children, women, elders, injured people who were evacuated from the hospitals to continue their medical treatment inside the tents, and we have the elders. So it wasn't easy mission in order to get these people out from this mud, from this rain, from these freezing conditions. And already we lost 6 of them children, infants, who died because of the freezing conditions. This is something that we have to recognize. 6 months ago, we warned from such winter.
If I could just jump in here, because actually, as you're talking, we're running pictures, and we're seeing pictures of that mud, of the people standing in puddles of water. Having to live in such conditions is bad enough, but it is compounded by other realities. The reality of a lack of sufficient food and medicine, something that Oxfam in March 2024 noted as, quote, Israeli authorities not only failing to facilitate the international aid effort, but are actively hindering it. That compounds and makes the situation of tough weather even worse and makes you more susceptible, right?
Thank you, Sam. It really is worse and worse. These children who are in tents, traumatized. They are unprotected. These tents were attacked 100 times, and we lost so many lives due to the Israeli attacks on the tents area. These children are suffering from severe malnutrition. And so the others, the elders, most of the bakeries closed its doors. No more flour is getting in. So the share of bread, it's less than one loaf for each person, which means that we have no medicine, no food, no blankets to cover these bodies to warm it up, no winter clothes for the children, no shoes to pass through the mud. They escaped from the Israeli attacks to these tents, to be attacked again, and in the same time to suffer due to such unhumanitarian conditions, due to the Israeli denial of the entry of the basic needs and humanitarian aid supplies which are supposed to enter according to the different humanitarian standards and regulations. This is a grave violation to the basic human rights that we are witnessing. Our children, that many of them, cancer patients, and they, big number, thousands of them, lost their limbs and suffering from shortage of medicine, the cold and other that we cannot deal with these conditions. So if you wanted to get your child to the hospital, it's full of injured people in the corridors, no space. The doctors are busy on the critical injured people. So you are back with nothing. So
Right.
this will be deteriorated to have more and more critical conditions for the children mainly and for the elders.
Okay.
And we start to lose the lives of many critical health conditions.
Which is
And
what
we
we're
have
saying.
25,000 patients who in bad need to be evacuated out of Gaza Strip. And
Right.
daily we are losing lives of these
Understood.
patients.
Thank you so much for sharing your perspective on what's happening. Amjad Shawa there, the director of the Palestinian NGO Network, joining us from Gaza.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.